Oh guys, Butcher Boy Tommy here. Right, got a new leg set, this one, and I'm just going to run through the process I went through to get to this, because it works pretty well. So I've based it on the linkage for the Strand Beast. Been studying that a bit, and I think I've come up with something half decent. So first things first, let's see what they do. So remember, this is no balance. This is just the legs. I've got the body to add. And it's away. And it moves at a pretty substantial rate as well. Still got some tinkering to do, but it's getting there. Walk stop. Right. Now, special features for these. Feet. So you've got the ankle there, which is controlled by the connection rod between the back of the foot and the thigh up there, which I've armoured the crap out of. Yeah. Back of the foot is attached by 3 hinges, and your front of the foot is attached by 3 hinges. So the ankle's on a plate, this plate here. Back of the foot and front of the foot are separate, attached to the plate by them hinges, and them hinges are loose. There's no torque or anything like that. So if I show you, tilt. No torque, no braking torque, no velocity. I've set me 2 angles, 15 degrees, so when the leg goes outwards, I'll show you in a minute, that foot will tilt 15 degrees, that's as far as it'll go. In the inside, 8 degrees, that's probably all you need anyway. So it's not too loose. Okay, but it's just a loose joint, and it's in case it hits bumps, uneven terrain, things like that. Front and back completely separate because the size of the foot. If there's a bump here but not here, you want the front of the foot to be flat, and obviously the back of the foot can tilt to take the bump into consideration. It's also acts a little bit like suspension as well, so it's pretty strong. Toe as well, set to 30 degrees, and that's loose as well, and that'll bend. That's just to keep the foot on the floor as long as possible. The foot should actually only be, going by the measurements I've worked out, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's how big the foot should be for the walking. So the toe is 2 blocks extra, but it's on the pivot there, so that should stay on the ground a lot longer, given just that little bit extra purchase to pull it off. Okay, so that's a foot. A lot of detail in. Now, a lot of people talk about mechs in the game and say they're useless, and you know, one shot can take them out and things like that. Well, I've experimented. I've put a 5x5 large grid wheel and suspension, and used a Gatling turret on that. Took about, say it took 15 seconds or something like that to take out, right? So that's a 4-wheel rover knackered, because once you take one wheel out, that loses the balance. and it just takes the front of it or the back of it to clip the ground, and it's going to flip all over. So it'll be a bit buggered. The same with a ship. If you've got a ship hovering above you, and the downward thrust, which will have to be open, so you can see it. A large grid, large atmospheric thrust, that takes exactly the same amount of time to disable as what it does to take a wheel out. Well, these three hinges holding this rod here take 15 seconds to take out with a Gatling turret. So they're all the same strength. And I can add armour. I can take the armour on the back of the foot right up, so you can't see this at all. But that takes away the detail. I like to detail my mechs. I mean, when you look at pictures of mechs and little models, the Warhammer models and things like that, you can see all the pistons and the hydraulics pipes and things like that. You can see them. They're open for getting shot to crap. So probably useless in a real life situation, but they look damn well pleasing to the eye, and that's how I try and build me mechs. It's all about the look. I couldn't give a monkey's about functionality when it comes to battling, as long as they look good. And eventually, when the gritty eye comes out, I'll be able to add the functionality to keep these things out the way of bullets and things like that. So the thighs themselves are factories. So both thighs are actual factories in the legs, all piped up. You've got your two large storage containers. You've got a refinery on each side. There's a refinery there. Get rid of that. Turn the light out. Could get the atmosphere in here. The two refineries have got assemblers attached, the large ones. Get to the top there. Assemblers. There's the top of the assembler, and there's two H2O2 jennies there. I've got that one upside down, but hey ho, that's where the connection is. Now then you go up the dancers, the thread of stairs. It gets to the top of the thigh, where ready for some pipage to go to the body. What I'll be doing is creating a conveyor rope. So pipe, hinge facing one way, pipe, hinge facing opposite way, 90 degrees. So you've got forward and back, side to side, pipe, hinge, pipe, hinge, pipe, hinge, all the way up to the body, pipe into the body. Make the hinges loose, so it just swings around. So when the body and legs move, they won't catch. They'll move with it. Hopefully, anyway. If that doesn't work, I'll just take it out and pipe it through the joints. Because it wouldn't take much to just take one of these joints out, put the piping through that into the body itself. But I wanted to use the ropes to get that extra bit of detail, a little bit of movement, a little bit swinging around. I've added 2 extra joints to this from what I've designed it from. So that splays the legs in the splits. This one moves the legs backwards in a turning motion. I'll show you that now. Split. Now, I built this for the new gritty eye because there's a block there you can use to balance mechs. So as you can see, the feet move automatically with the hips as long as they're touching ground. They're loose, but they will take the angle required to give you purchase, which is what you want. And as you notice, it's still standing upright, which is good. So that's the split in the turn. Just gives it a bit of that. Okay, so that's the movement. Now the walking, obviously you notice when it starts walking and when it stops, the legs are resetting themselves, which is just a bit of timer magic. So I've got 2 timers. Well, actually there's 4 timers. So that one activates another timer with the same motion, and it's to set the angle for the hips and for the knees, because they're the only power joints in this. The hip and the knee is the only power joint for the walking, so that's all I need to muck about with. So what happens is when it starts walking, it'll activate that one and that one, which will put it in a walking position, and when it stops walking, it activates that and that, which puts it into this position. And I'll show you that in motion now. Well, I'll try and show you that in motion now. What the hell? There we go. Where's me walk? Walk start. So yeah, puts it in the right angles, and before it falls over, it kicks off the walking. Then stopping. Bugger, that's quick. And then it stops the walking and sets the angles back to the standing position. It's a bit bouncy at the minute. I think I've got the torque a little bit too high on the joints, but so I need to fiddle with that. But I've got a body to add. Now I'm either going to do a Jaeger body, so that's a humanoid body, or a Warhammer Titan type body, so more mechanical in look. So that's the leg set. Now how I got there, if we go over here, there was a video on YouTube of I don't know if he was a Chinese fella or Japanese fella. He'd actually created, I don't know if you know about the Strand Beasts, but he created a Strand Beast principle robot in real life. So this thing actually, he built it based on the Strand Beast linkage, but it was humanoid, and that's it there. So I seen the video and I thought, ooh, that's totally possible in Space Engineers, I think, using the right blocks. He even had the little stabilizer wheels, because obviously his would fall over exactly the same as it does in Space Engineers. So I kicked up the Series X and knocked this up in the night, and this is almost an exact duplicate of what he created, but he did in real life. Now I've used 2 mods. I've used I think it's pronounced Shoals rotors. You know, apologies if I've arsed the name up, like, but now the reason I've used these is Space Engineer rotor. I'll show you. Even with the rotor head taken right in, it's over a block, and they're finicky as hell, and you need perfect alignment when you're building these things, whereas these rotors on the mod are exactly 1 block. No ifs, no buts, 1 block. You can push the rotor head out, but when you place it, it's 1 block. So you can align everything perfectly. There's no twisting. There's no arsing about like that. It's brilliant. They're not very powerful, so they can't move great weights. but they're exactly one block. Even the 3x3 ones in the large grid are 3x3 as well. And there's 5x5, and there's a, I'll show you. There's a there called status. So that's exactly one block. That's a 2x2 one, which is ideal for offset stuff. 2x2. That's a 3x3. That is a gap. And that is the rotor that goes inside the gap. So you can create pistons. That's a rotor hinge. So it's actually a hinge, but it's a rotor. That is a walkway for that. So that's a rotor, but you can walk through it. So nice little mod. But as I say, hinges are one block wide. Ideal for lining stuff up. Now the actual cabling is from Plain Parts Xbox, and that's it there. It's wing rigging. You can get straight or diagonal, and it's a nice rod. And obviously had to use them on this because of the distance between the linkage. Because as you see, if I used a block, that's collision straight away, and you can't have collision on a linkage. So them rods were perfect. You could use as an alternative, if you wanted to do vanilla, and you could get the rotors to line properly and things like that, you could use that. The neon tubes would have them back over like that, so you get more gap. So it'd still be a rod, but obviously it'd be not very strong. So that's what I use for that. And the motion, if you look at the motion on these, fantastic. Where's it gone? Look at the motion. Now, as I say, a bloke built this in real life. Actually walks like that. It's got the training wheels and everything, but he armoured the front to the shin in the thigh. Put armour on it. But look at that. Perfect. So, back to what I was talking about. So anyway, that was the linkage, and I thought, right, so I built that. Works brilliantly. Not much good because you can't really do anything with it. And I thought, oh, hang fire. Add some armour. Arse about a bit. Obviously, you had to keep the training wheels because of the balance. I shrunk the shin a bit and added the piston, so the rod was still did the same thing. Feet look absolutely, they look like Jeeps from World War. Now the old Jeeps. But it goes with the look of it because it's very diesel punk sort of crap. Bit of armage, bit of bodyage, bit of armour on the legs, but you still got all this linkage which you can't really do anything with. So manage that. And that just gets on with it. You can obviously turn the drills on and they'll pump into the cargo containers and keep the engines running. So that's that one. So I did a small grid. It seemed to work pretty damn well. And I thought, right, so I've done a small grid, need to do a large grid. What the oh, crap. I've turned the drills on. Shite. What the hell? That's it. So, obviously that's, right. It's got a use. And I thought large grid. So I built the rig. So I based this on the oil rigs. Because they're just big, massive industrial platforms. And that's all this is. It's just an industrial platform that walks around. In it, same thing. It drills the ice as it walks. It's got a bit of armament on to protect it a bit. It's got a few levels. This is the... So obviously, this would be where you hang out. Have a little drink at the bar. And get a catch a bird's eye view with a nice view there. All the... You've got your shelving and stuff like that. It's all crap. Yeah. So that's your controls. So to walk, press up. Yeah? What do you think of that? The engines kick off. What I've done is I've set the speed on it so it starts slow and then picks up speed. And if you notice the feet, this is like I use the same idea for the feet. The feet are loose. They're hinged back and forward. And just stop. And when I press stop, what he does is slow down. And then he stops. So that was the large grid version. Obviously, it all kept the same training wheels, and obviously I wasn't happy about the training wheels. Or the arms as well track. Every joint on the arm has one of these turrets. So what it does is it uses the camera in the fist for each arm. So what it does is that's the elevation. So the turret uses elevation, uses a camera for targeting, and the same for every joint. It's got its own turret controller. So if there's a target there, it'll try and home in on the target. The wrist as well. This is set up as well, and the turning joints as well, because the wrist turns and the arm turns here, and the two shoulders, they're all set up with their own turret. So if you put an enemy, let's put a, if I put that there, I know I'm waffling, but it's just to show you what it can do. If I put that there, I'll stick a battery on top. And then I'll make a battery of the enemy. Oh, you daft shite. Hold on. So that's an enemy. See? Oh, tracking must be on. Damn it. So that arm's got it. The right arm doesn't look like it's catching. So I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll turn it a little bit and see if I can get the right arm engaged. So if I turn left a bit, there, the right arm's starting to engage now. Oh, it's kicking off. Jesus. So it's having a damn good go at it. So you've got Gatlins on this fist. This fist got a mixture of Gatlins, assault cannons or whatever that is. But it's having a right old pop. I think I'm not sure about Alice. That just looks wrong. I need to put some movement in the hands. Right. Let's turn this crap off. Got it shaking itself out of so tracking was, how long? Page 2. Tracking on, tracking off. When I turn the tracking off, I reset the arms. Turn the tracking on. Kicks off. Tracking off. Arms reset. All timers, by the way, because it's an Xbox. So that does that. That's on mod.io. The rig. I think that's what I called it anyway. But as you can see, it's still using the linkage. Let's get rid of this battery because it's taking the mick. Right. And block destruction is off at the minute because I always turn it off when I'm building. Ooh, that's another point. Voxel destruction. You can't have voxel destruction on when using mechs. Doesn't matter how many tyres, wheels, stuff like that you use, you're not going to get a walking mech with weight, a big one, to move without destroying the voxels. Now in real life, a heavy weight comes down on ground, the ground will compact, so it'll sink a couple of foot, but then it'll compact and stop. It'll become like stone, and then the mech has its balance there. You can't do that. It's not realistic in engineers. If you put weight, force onto that, it won't compact. It'll just keep disintegrating until you hit the centre of the planet. Same with the ground over there. See that rock? Now, this is all rock, yeah, stone. So you probably got about two foot of dirt on top of your rock. So what would happen is the mech would probably stand on that. It would sink down a couple of foot. The dirt would compact. If it didn't compact, it would hit the rock and it would stop. Whereas this, it would just go straight through, wouldn't stop. So it's not realistic. So voxels off. Always have voxels off on a mech. Now then, so where was I? So I built that, and I thought, yeah, that's alright, but it's still got all these rods and linkage and stuff like that. So I had to study the movement. That's a shorter version of that one. Wherever it's gone, it's buggered off. So I had to study the movement. So that's your hip. there, right? Now, me and probably every other mech builder, when they build a mech, they put the leg in and they put the hip right smack bang in the middle. And if you notice on the linkage, the hip joint is right at the back. This is another joint which I've taken out. I did have it on my model over there, but it was neither out nor something. It was too finicky, wouldn't work properly. It probably needs different speeds and that. So that's your hip joint there, and it's set rear. And I'll show you why. So I built 3 different models just to see how it worked. See if I get something that would resemble the linkage, but without the rods. And I come up with this. It was fixed to the ground, but I've took it off. So if you notice this one, the hip is smack bang in the middle where normally build it. This one, the hip is right back where the linkage puts it. And this one's sort of a split between the two. It's forward a block just to see what would happen. And if we set that off, this is going to crash because it's right near the air wall. But so looking at the movement, the timing and the angles and things like that, I come up with this. So as you notice, it's hard to tell, but when your hips smack bang in the middle, your legs swing the same forward and back. So your feet are catching all the time. And the only way to get around that is raise that knee right the way up, bring the leg right the way forward and drop the knee. Whereas on this one, where the hip's back, the leg see, it's hit that. Right. Tell you what I'll do, I'll show you the model anyway. But you've got the idea. Get rid of that. Right, let's go over here. So taking the measurements from the linkage leg, not the short one, that's the little short stumpy one, but the actual original size one, that one there. So taking the measurements from that, I created this, and I put the hip at the back, and I'll show you exactly what happens when you do that. So that's your ground say there, right? Your foot comes back, it's clear, then it comes down, hits the ground, walks, foot comes back, clear, down, walk. That's because the hip is on the back. And obviously you've got the knee movement to match with it, and you've got the linkage rod connecting the thigh and the ankle, so the foot's always in the right position when it's walking. Basically, that's what I got. And that's how that one walks, the one at the beginning. Obviously with a bit more weight, that's how it'll walk. So that's your design process and your evolution of the leg. So I hope that's been canny for you. Keep smiling, and ta-da.